The following is a presentation of the Matt Talk Podcast Network.
The BVU Beavercast is proudly supported by alum and two-time All-American Monty Mers and High Country Search. Elevate your search at highcountrysearch.com.
Welcome to the Lodge. It's time to settle in for the Buena Vista Wrestling Beavercast. Join host Jason Bryant and head wrestling coach Jeff Breese as we talk all things BV wrestling. Now, on to the show.
Episode 30 of the BVU Wrestling Beavercast, heading back to Storm Lake. Today we're kicking off the show with assistant coach Sean White, formerly known as the Whirly Bird. You can follow him on Twitter now at Coach_Bald Eagle. And before we talk about some of the postseason activities and post-school year activities, Coach White, the Whirly Bird for us out who are from the East Coast usually is a sign of injury time, typically coming from a state that's known for a turnpike. We're not going to necessarily name it in public, but what is your definition of why you had Whirly Bird as your Twitter handle before changing to the Bald Eagle?
Well, as most people do when they first get a social media platform, they come up with something that kind of signifies them at that time. And when it was, for me, it was when Twitter was kind of fresh and new and I was fairly young, but I was big into wakeboarding and it was just a wakeboarding move I really liked. And so I was like, I'll do this. And then as it kept going on, no one really understood that. It had nothing to do with me. So then I had to change it about a year ago to something more signifying towards me. So,
yeah. So you're saying you were not a proponent of taking a lot of injury timeouts when you were in college. That's what you're saying.
Right. I wasn't known for that for sure.
Okay.
That's not what it was.
We just got to clear that up because, folks, if we were talking earlier about Twitter handles, I wanted to make sure that you're following one Coach Breese at JBreese133, which makes sense. It's his first initial, his last name in his college wrestling weight class. Whirly Bird, we would have had to explain that, and now just simply Coach_Bald Eagle, because I feel like you're a true patriot. You're an American hero. You're an American icon.
Yeah, there's a little bit more involved with the Bald Eagle, but long story short, I like eagles, and
you don't have any hair.
Bald.
Yeah,
I don't have hair.
Yeah, so of course, probably, and folks, don't criticize too much for making the American hero joke so soon after Memorial Day. We're just playing a game here, so. Anyway, Coach White, been a while since we've had you on the program, had a lot of things to finish up the school year with. Let's just first talk about the team awards banquet, how that went, and what type of awards were given out, and what things that you saw from an assistant coach perspective that were really quality about the banquet.
Well, the banquet went very well. We did it different. We've done it different every year that we've been here for the last 3 years. The first year it was a pretty formal thing. Last year we did more of a barbecue over at Coach Breeze's house, and then this year we kind of combined the two. It wasn't formal, but it was kind of a barbecue, casual deal at one of the parks, and that turned out to be really well. We'll probably do it that way as long as we're here, and it went really well. A lot of the guys, were excited to be there, and I was excited to give out a lot of the awards that we gave out because this group of guys that we have now have been with us for, the seniors for 3 years. And we've been able to watch them grow, and to see where they were when we first got here till at the banquet was just amazing. So
what are some things that you tell to your team? And we've had conversations with Jeff Breese about this on previous episodes. When seasons don't go as well as planned and you're not sitting there wrestling beyond the regional tournament, and what do you tell your guys? And you sit there, you present team awards and such. Where is the benefit for them? Where's the benefit for you as an assistant coach here?
I think the biggest thing to make sure to touch on, just the growth. I mean, yeah, we don't always reach our goals. You might never reach your goals, but it's that process of getting there and the growth that happens through that process of trying to accomplish the goals that you're striving for. So I think that's the biggest emphasis when talking to the guys and explaining that in the banquet as well. Because, we didn't reach some of the goals that we sought out for, but a lot of things were still accomplished that hadn't been accomplished in a while. So
Now, when we move forward to graduation, we've talked on the show about losing seniors eligibility-wise, and sometimes at schools, they'll, okay, well, I'm done, but they still get to hang around. Well, in these cases, you've got graduation. This is not the end of necessarily just their college wrestling career. This is the end for most of them, their college career, unless they go to pursue a master's degree somewhere. But what does graduation mean for this group of seniors?
Well, for this group of seniors, I mean, when we first got here, they were sophomores. And they really bought into what we were trying to accomplish as a coaching staff. And so it was kind of a heartfelt situation for us, seeing them be done, and for them as well, because they wish they had an extra year, that fourth year, with us as well. But the good thing for us with this group of guys, we're hoping to keep them around. Ernesto is going to be helping us with the coaching staff, and Andrew's looking to stay around campus while pursuing his degree to be a lawyer. He's going to take a year and help us out while he studies and does all that to get into law school. So it's pretty exciting, these guys graduating, because they're still going to be around.
Another thing as we move forward, you just recently finished up with an alumni event out in Des Moines, and we know that there's BV alum everywhere. Every time I turn, I find somebody new. Oh, you wrestled a BV for Baxter. Oh, cool. We got to get you on the show. But let's talk about the alumni event, how that was set up, and what you guys got out of it, as well as the BV alums that were there.
Well, as far as that goes, it's always exciting to see the alums. For me, that's one of the big reasons I like BV. I've grown attached to a lot of the people that were around in the Baxter era, and even through Savon's era and Schwab's era. I've started to touch base with a lot of those guys, and I get really excited when I get to see those guys because they got stories, they got words of advice, and sometimes they touch base on recruits and things like that, and it's really nice to have that connection. And so that event was really huge for us. We do have a lot of alumni down in the Des Moines area, and so we this is the second one we've done. We had more come out to this one, and just to bump elbows with some of those guys, because they did something here that hasn't been done in a while, and to kind of see how they are and try and relate that to the guys here and pass back some information. Hopefully we can bring it back to the way it was.
Now, as we look back on your growth as a coach, where do you think you've improved over the last couple of years since joining the staff?
Oh, there's been a lot of improvement. When I first got here, actually before I got here, when Breese hired me, he just said, "Hey, I need these things done," and threw it at me, and I kind of had to shoot from the hip on some of it when I first got hired, because I wasn't on campus yet, and had to learn pretty much everything about the school and what we're going to accomplish, and the goals and everything. He gave me the day after I accepted the job, he called me and said, "Here, I need you to call these 10 recruits." And I had really no idea about anything, and just from that point to now, I've grown immensely, and I feel like there's still more for me to learn from Coach Breese and being around this area. But I'm ready to be a head coach. I want to stay here until we accomplish what we're trying to do. So
now, as we look forward and other things that you've taken on responsibilities as coaching, what are some things that you discovered now as you build a program in year 3? You try to hit benchmarks. Sometimes you hit, sometimes you miss, where you sit there and go, okay, there's a lot more to the actual coaching part of it than just rolling around on the mat.
Yeah. I would say the biggest thing is the details. And we talk about that in wrestling, like actually being on the mat, details in technique and position. But when it comes to coaching, man, details is so important. Coach Breese has taught me that, over the last 3 years, that like every minor detail is going to matter, whether it's coming up with something for our trip or, a banquet or that alumni deal. All those little things, you got to have every little detail planned out, mapped out. And I think that's the biggest growth that I've made is learning to think that way. Just the other day, I came into Coach Breese and I, had some things I needed copied and some different itineraries for a trip we're taking soon. And he's like, "Oh, I don't think, we might not need that." And I said, "Well, just in case for some reason, they say, 'Oh, you didn't pay for this.' Well, I have the receipt right here." So I made sure to put that in the packet. So just those details has been the biggest growth. And I think that's the biggest thing for coaches is to try and, think of every possible situation and plan for what could happen. So.
Yeah, I'm sure Jeff's sitting there going, "Yeah, we've come a long way with you on the details."
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, probably the biggest thing that I still need to work on is my organization, but we like to call it organized chaos in my office just because I know where things are at. It's just all over the place.
Yeah, it sounds like when my wife's trying to do my laundry and put all my wrestling shirts away and be like, "Okay, which ones go where? Okay, the ones I've worn go here. The ones I haven't worn yet, the non-wrestling shirts go here. The hoodies are up there, and the ones that are going into the giveaway pile, because I guess once every year or so, I take all these wrestling shirts that I have a duplicate of or something that has used its use or I've gotten an updated version. They go to like the Goodwill or the wrestlers Wrestling My Shoes campaign. So I can understand what organized chaos means, especially right now as I go through this wrestling shirt a day thing on Twitter.
Oh yeah, for sure.
By the way, did get the BV shirt in there rather early, so I've got 3 of the Iowa Conference schools in there. BV was an early one, although Coach Breese was really pained by the one I chose early. We won't even say which one that is. We won't say which one I'm wearing as we record this today. Just know that Beaver Nation, there's another one in the mix here that I'll be throwing in, and the wrestling shirt a day field here soon. So, Coach White, we had a chance to talk with Coach Breese about the landscape of wrestling within the state of Iowa in the last couple episodes because we've had new coaching changes at Iowa State. We've had Mark Perry coming to the Hawkeye Club in Iowa City. So, as a general wrestling fan, yeah, you're in Division III, but you're still paying attention to all this craziness that goes on in the world of Division I. What's your general take on the situation at Iowa State and Mark Perry coming to the Hawkeyes?
I think overall it's exciting just for college in general in the state of Iowa. With Kevin Dresser coming down to Iowa State, I think bringing that newness to the program, and from what he did at Virginia Tech, I think that we're going to see some big things come out of Iowa State in the next couple of years. And with Mark Perry coming back, it's good to see him back in Iowa. And I think there's just going to be a tremendous growth throughout the college programs and even at the high school youth level of kids getting more involved. And you got big names like that coming back to Iowa. Kids get excited about that. So,
of course, we had on last episode, we had Dan Dresser, who's a BV alum, the first finalist in school history. He's going to be working with the Cyclone Regional Training Center. So it's kind of cool to have that tie to your program with the new Iowa State staff as well.
Yeah, it's really great. I love talking with Dan. I haven't talked to him since the state tournament. I know Coach Breese has talked with him a little bit since then, but just having him, involved in a wrestling capacity that he wasn't before is going to be nice for us. And if at some point that helps us along, that'll be huge for the BVU wrestling program as well.
All right, Coach Shaun White, that's Coach_Bald Eagle on Twitter, catching up with him and all the things that happened in the off season with BVU Wrestling. We'll now keep on the conversation with Coach Jeff Breese here on the BVU Wrestling Beavercast. Coach Breese, now your turn. What's been up these last couple weeks? We had Dan Dresser on. We had a chance to talk to him about that. We just touched with that with Coach White. But what's life been like for you these last couple weeks in Storm Lake?
Things have been good. It's been kind of nice. Things have slowed down for a week or two through graduation and finals week here. Things weren't too hectic, and it's ramping back up for a really busy summer on the road and with camp and Fargo and Akron. And sat down and looked at my wife and I was like, it's going to be December before we know it again. So she reminded me quickly to remember that our anniversary was in August, and then we would pick our heads back up in December.
Yeah, what day specifically is the anniversary here so we can make a note of that?
It is August 20th.
You're kidding me.
Isn't that your birthday?
Yeah, it is.
That's what I thought.
Have we discussed this before? I cannot recall.
No, I I told you we had a little bit of downtime. I actually was taking a chance to scroll through some social media, and I noticed that somehow like August 20th was your birthday, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to remind him of that the next time we talk. That's my anniversary.
Yeah, because mine's May 8th, so I share that anniversary date with Pat Tossi of the NWCA and Tervel Delagnev. So that was
pretty good company.
Yeah. Well, obviously me and Tervel. Well, we didn't marry each other. We share the same day. Tervel and I actually got married the same day. So May 8th, 2010. It's not like it was different years. Pat's was a different year. And the reason we bring up Pat is both Jeff and I have worked for Pat. So there's the tie in case you're wondering why I'm bringing the NWCA into this BV Wrestling Beavercast. But yeah, so that's some shared company there. But as we look at, you talked about Akron. And for those who are unaware, most people I think that listen are aware, but those who don't know, the University Nationals, which is the freestyle and Greco-Roman styles that the college-age wrestlers up to, I think, about 26, if they're still enrolled in grad school or whatever. I think the Russians use that to their advantage. But University Nationals coming up in Akron. This is a big event. One division, your freestyle or your Greco, one division, no Division 1, no Division 2, no Division 3, no NAIA. Everybody in a hat and going, and what are you looking forward to about Akron, and what can we expect from the BVU wrestlers here?
We're really excited about Akron. I'm excited to have guys that came to us and said, hey, we want to do this. It's something that we've talked about a lot in recruiting over the last couple of years, that we would make those opportunities available for guys if it's something they wanted to do. And they came and sought us out. It wasn't really something that we said a whole lot about. It's great. We have some kids from our high school part of our regional training center that are going to make the trip and try and make the cadet world team. And we have some guys from our college team that are going to try and make the university world team. So that part's exciting. It's great wrestling. So I get to go there and do a little bit of recruiting as well. See some people that I haven't seen in a long time. Some people that I worked with pretty close when I was in the D1 ranks. It's a good chance to see them. It's tough to see them at NCAAs. They're focused on a lot of other things. University is a little bit more laid back. Get to have a conversation with some people. So, there's a lot to look forward to. I'm not pumped about the drive there, but outside of transport there, we really think it's going to be exciting.
Well, and after weigh-ins, too, you can go to Swenson's, which is like the legendary drive-in. Not Jeff Swenson's house, but like the legendary drive-in out in Akron there. They got just the burgers. If you need to know anything, just ask Harry Lester. But that was one of the best things I liked about covering that tournament was the Swenson's drive-in, get a couple galley boys, a milkshake, you're set.
Yeah, that sounds all right. I could go for a good milkshake.
And tell your guys after weigh-ins, okay? After weigh-ins.
Yeah, maybe better after we're done competing. I'm not sure a greasy burger and a milkshake's the best thing to go out and try and
that's true.
Win a Greco match on. So
yeah, okay. So guys, stop the show. Listen. Don't let them listen to this episode until after the tournament, until they're done. So just make sure they're of course, we're defeating the whole purpose of the show. But as we look at Akron, you mentioned the wrestling club and the regional training center there. Explain how that works within a Division III model, where right now you've got practice time that's limited because Division III is got different rules than Division II and Division I in terms of access to athletes and such. And how have you built in the local wrestling club, the kids that are in the club with the regional training center? Because you said about the kids from the local club, boom, their tournament also that runs simultaneously with University Nationals is the UWW Cadet Championships as well.
Yeah, without making it boring and difficult to listen to.
Trust me, I love boring and difficult.
It's a little bit complicated. There's some creativity that has to go into it. There are certain things we are allowed to do and certain things that we're absolutely not allowed to do. And sometimes those make logical sense and sometimes they don't. So it's a lot of checking and double checking. And but it does give us a little bit more leeway by being a regional training center than not. It gives me the opportunity to probably coach some kids in high school that I would have to be hands off with routinely, but they're here training with us on a regular basis. So again, we get into the logical, illogical part of the rule. It's not like I'm recruiting them; I'm their coach that day. But it gets complicated and tricky. But essentially, it boils down to it's really not a lot different than if I'm a coach on the Iowa Fargo staff, which we are. We have no issue coaching those guys. Very similar in that respect. We're part of the USA Wrestling system, and we're trying to build hopefully future world team members, future Olympians, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's not too many Division III schools that have a regional training center as a part of. I know Fairmount East does. I know Augsburg has I think got it tied to their relationship with the Minnesota Storm. I'm not quite sure how that works up here, but when we look at the Division I models, and they're all talking about regional training centers, and we've alluded to this with BV alum Dan Dresser going to help the regional training center up at Iowa State with his new post with his brother taking the job. What is the Division III benefit from the regional training center model, and what have you seen from your Division I experience where we can do that? If they can do it, so can we, and it benefits the entire program and the school overall?
Yeah, so I think one of the first benefits that gets overlooked sometimes is it opens the door for additional training opportunities for our guys, whether us as coaches are involved or not. If you're a member of a regional training center, usually the doors open a little bit wider to go train with another regional training center. And so as long as you meet the requirements for that, that gives you some opportunities to be able to go in and work out. No, we haven't really been down there yet, but that would give us maybe an opportunity to go work out with like an Iowa or an Iowa State. When I was in D1, we would have people come from different places around the country to come do regional training center practices with the Wolfpack Wrestling Club and the Wolfpack RTC. So you get some variety of partners and some variety in where guys can go and doors that open for them in that respect. And then I think even at the D3 level, it's an additional way to fundraise. And sometimes schools will have limitations. We don't have a ton really here at BV, but there are certain places where you have limitations on what you raise, where it can go to, what it can be spent on. Long-term goals for us with our regional training center is, we want to be able to raise enough money that we can have a coach that handles the freestyle training. And that's what they do. And, they can be an additional resource to BVU wrestling, but I don't want to look at this small picture and say we're a Division III school and we can't do what some of the D1s are. Certainly, I'm not claiming to be the Hawkeye Wrestling Club or anything like that, but there's no reason on a smaller model that we can't have guys that get specific training if that's something that they want to pursue, and have somebody in that role. That's probably not going to happen in the next 6 months for us, but that's stuff that big picture we'd like to get done. And because we're going through the process of all the the legal and things that you need to do to be a legitimate nonprofit and all of the things that go into making a regional training center, we want it to just be another resource for our guys. We never want to tell them, no, this can't be done. We want to tell them, yes, let's find a way that we can legally do this. If this is something you want to do, we're going to find a way to make it happen for you. I don't want to limit them on opportunities here.
Shifting gears a little bit, it's been almost a year since you got a new boss, as Jack Denholm came in June of last year to take over as the athletic director. What's it been like this year with him on staff, having a guy that knows wrestling be your boss?
It's been great. There's been times where he already knew what I was thinking before I walked in, so I didn't have to go in and complain. He just says, "Yeah, I know what you're thinking," and he would tell me what I was thinking before I even got around to it. So that's great. I have an honest opinion about things off of too. I mean, sometimes you get really close to the situation with your guys and you can't see something that's staring you right in the face. So we have someone that's got a little broader view to give us some different thoughts and different perspective on things, but we know it's coming from a place where where he understands the sport. It's not just a general opinion. He's got some pretty good knowledge behind it. So it's really like having an additional coach on top of the fact that he is our boss and knows what we're going to need to succeed. He also every now and then can give us some ideas. Hey, I was watching this happen in the match, not telling you how to do your job, but I saw this, just something to look at. And I think that's really great. We have a great balance with him on that. I'm not getting coached over me by any means. He's not looking over my shoulder, but if he sees something that he thinks might be worthwhile, it's nice to have that knowledge right there too.
What was the first tip he gave you and you're like, okay, he's right?
I don't know that it was something that I didn't know, but he kind of looked at us during wrestle-offs and he's like, you guys are really, really young. You guys got a lot of positional stuff to work on. And I was like, Yeah, we do. We're going to start 6 or 7 freshmen this year. They're got some talented guys, but they haven't had to deal with some of the college things they're going to need to take on this year. So I mean, it was pretty obvious, but it just like, yep, you're right. we need to get better positionally.
Well, let's draw some comparisons. I mean, a lot of people have worked for good athletic directors, and at the bigger the school, the less chance you have to run into the big boss of the department. But what's it like comparing your experiences at the Division I level to now here at the D3? You got a wrestling guy that's the AD. I mean, how much has that really changed your focus on how quickly you can accomplish these timelines here as we finish year 3 going into 4, 5, and 6?
Yeah, I don't know that it really has changed a lot for what I think we can do and the timeline that we can do it in. But I have seen I feel like a better response from people that maybe they're connected to the program, but connected a little bit more loosely, and we're trying to bring them back into the fold. They're more encouraged by the fact that there's a wrestling guy behind what's going on here. I've never really thought we didn't have anything we needed here. It's just really a different approach with Jack and how he kind of attacks what we need, or what he thinks we can do to kind of push things forward. So it hasn't really changed a lot for us, but you kind of get that grin or smirk from people. I'm like, oh yeah, our AD was a All-American wrestler. I'm like, oh, he gets it. I'm like, yeah, he gets it. We're doing all right here.
As we look forward to other topics in wrestling, we've talked to you about the landscape of wrestling in Iowa, but now we've got something coming down the road, Lincoln, Nebraska, the World Team Trials coming up in a couple weeks as we again record this on May 30th, 2017. Freestyle only, man. What are you looking forward to with the trials here as we talk just general wrestling now on the Beavercast?
So honestly, I won't be at the trials, even though it's so very close. We had to kind of make a decision. We have orientation here on campus that weekend. Plus, I had a previous recruiting trip planned. So Coach White's going to get to go and enjoy. He's also going to do the Silver College while he's there, and become a Silver certified coach, which is pretty awesome for him. I'm excited about that. So I'll be kind of watching from afar. It's one of the few weekends that I'm actually home in June. So I'll be here for orientation. I'll get back from a recruiting trip pretty early on Saturday and be here for the weekend. And then I'll be keeping track on, I don't know which entities is going to have the brackets, but wherever I can watch and whatever, I'm not getting into the whole flow track thing. Whoever has the brackets, whoever has the video.
Pretty sure Flo's got this event.
Okay, well, I'll be watching on there then, as much as I can in between orientation meetings for our new students and that kind of thing. But Coach White's going to get to go and enjoy, and then when he gets back, I'll tell him how he picked all the wrong guys. So
now, as far as from a fan standpoint, take out the responsibilities that you have as an adult, and take out your adulting, and just be a wrestling fan for a moment. What are some of these matches that you're looking forward to, hoping to see on your phone or your computer when you get a chance?
I love watching David Taylor wrestle. And so if a Taylor Cox matchup happens, I think that's going to be absolutely awesome. There's a chance that it could be boring too, but it's still going to be awesome. There's a chance that there's not a lot of points scored, and there's probably an equally good chance that there are points flying everywhere because they both have the ability to score, it seems like, whenever they decide to. So I'm really, really excited for that. I think it's going to be interesting I'm a little guy, so I love 57 kg. Doesn't matter who's in it ever. It doesn't matter if I think they can win an Olympic gold or whether it's a down year for the weight class in the country. Those guys are always awesome to watch. Those are guys that I've paid a lot of attention to as a lightweight, and some of them are still guys that I competed against back in the day. So that weight class is always a lot of fun. And my man Nick, I mean, I'm hoping this is the year for him. He's been seconds away, push outs away from breaking through and being on the team, and with Tervel not in the mix, I'm really hoping this is his year to break through and get it done. It's not like I had a big impact in Nick Wisdowski's career, but being able to be around him for the time that I was at NC State and just seeing how much he's grown and, you know, just his mindset change from the time he got to NC State to now, how much he's grown. I'm really hoping to see him get it done.
All right, let's take a look on this. You're talking about guys you used to wrestle. I want to go back to your weight classes here in Fargo for a minute. Let's see. Where's Mr. Breese? Where's Mr.
Oh, you're going to bring
anybody,
up some bad
I'm going to see if anybody
now.
is still wrestling. If you say, guys, they're still wrestling. Okay, let's see. Let's start with 1990. Actually, 8. Yeah, that was the year before I went there. You know what? I'm going to go with 99 just because I can. Let's see. 99, you were still a cadet. That would have been my first year out. Let's see. Where are you at, Mr. Breese? Cadet freestyle. This is really bad radio, in case you're wondering. Let's see. 112. Wow. You were a little guy then.
112 was up a weight class from the year before, too. 103.5 did not feel good. And I don't know how I made 103 the following year in high school.
All right. Let's see. Yeah, this was a pretty good weight class. Let's just, you know what? Nobody's still competing. I mean, you might see CP Schlater step on the mat every now and then. Still on the Greco side, but CP won the weight class. Burke Barnes from Washington, who was a hammer back in the day. He was second at the weight. Corey Cooperman was third. Was that your Pennsylvania? Was that Lape or Chris? Is it Lape?
Lape.
Chris Lape. Yeah, I was one of
the most brutal gut wrenches I've ever felt.
Yeah. Sean Bunch was fifth, and you were sixth. So let's see. Doug Hoover from Kansas was eighth. Coulter Brown, Wyoming. Okay, so that's a pretty good weight class. So none of those guys still competing though. So
yeah, from that particular weight class, probably not. And I'm not 100% sure that there is any, but I know Coleman might have been the last one. So I might finally be old enough that I don't have anybody at 57 that's on the ladder anymore. But we're all kind of close enough. We're only like one guy removed from. I wrestled this guy who wrestled that guy. I'm still not that far off.
Yeah, and some of these matches you don't really want to remember, do you?
I'm still trying to forget how Bunch took me down. I swear he super ducked me from one side of the mat to the other in overtime.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm going to have to go back and remember that.
I swear he was on the other side of the mat. And I don't think he touched me until I actually hit the ground. It was actually pretty devastating.
All right, so sticking with one last topic on the trials and paying attention to the lightweights. So, and being in the state of Iowa, were you paying attention to the little the Twitter beef there between Mr. 1 Tony Ramos and Mr. 1 Thomas Gilman?
I checked it out in passing. I didn't get too far into it, but it was pretty hard to miss as well. Unless you're living under a rock out here, you probably saw that. It was. I guess the best thing I can say is I'm not really surprised by any of it.
Yeah, either way, yeah. Right? It's funny because you got two guys who like to jaw, and it's like, all right, this is one where you get the popcorn GIF out and your GIF, or you sit there and you're like, I'm just here for the comments. You know,
yep.
Taking the social media world by storm. All right, Jeff, what's on the plan after Akron? We understand that there's the recruiting stuff. So what's going on that weekend, and what do you got until we meet again?
Yeah, so once we get back from Akron, we'll get back hopefully the night of the 4th, and our guys that are staying here to lift and do some things over the summer. We got to get them back in time because a lot of them start their jobs on the 5th. So we get back, those guys jump into that kind of stuff. We have about a week of camp prep from the 5th through the 12th. You know, nothing super exciting, but pretty important for us. Our camps have grown quite a bit over the last year. So a lot of prep that we need to get done. And then the following week, I am on the road recruiting all over Iowa and a couple surrounding states. And then we come back and we do camp for an entire week. And then June's just about over. We got about a week left in June. And then, early July, we hit Fargo and Fargo camp. And right after that, we're rolling into NWCA convention, and like I said, before you know it, it's December. It doesn't take very long for us to be in the middle of the season again. Summer goes pretty quick.
Yeah, I looked at my wife the other day and went, we were at the lake for Memorial Day weekend. I'm looking at my wife. I'm like, holy crap! It's like it'll be June at the end of the week. Like, what happened? Because June's pretty slow. I got they got the Hall of Fame weekend, then we got the World Team Trials, then a little bit of a break, like 2 weeks, and then Then I got to go to Germany for the European Juniors. Oh, darn, I get to go to Germany to see European Junior Wrestling. Then my wife, after that, has to go to Ireland for work. Sometime my mom, I think, is going to come in here because it'll be right around Ruby's first birthday. And then I'll sit there and go to Fargo. And at the end of Fargo, I will have to leave Fargo, drive to Minneapolis, fly to Virginia for my 20-year high school reunion. Then I wait about a couple days. Then I go to Finland for the Junior World Championships at the same time as the convention that I cannot go to this year, unfortunately, because the convention is actually awesome. For those coaches out there listening, college or high school, I highly recommend the NWCA Coaches Convention and the Leadership Academy, not because I actually still get a check from them, but because, one, it's pretty cool. Jeff and Sean can both attest to that. Then after that, I come back, and then it's to Athens for the Cadet World. So then it's oh, wait, I forgot Paris. Yeah, Paris is in there, too. Mid-August. Yeah.
I feel bad for your luggage, not really for you.
I'm just hoping to get those flyer miles, because last time I went on a flight, Air Serbia does not count on my Delta mileage, so... Anyway, we got to work on that. UWW's got to do a better job of booking that flight. Anyway, but Coach Breese, always a pleasure here on episode 30 of the BVU Beavercast, and we'll see you down the line.
Sounds good.
Show is part of the Matt Talk Podcast Network. For more wrestling podcasts, head over to MattTalkOnline.com.